Hello. It's almost goodbye. What a long night. I've knitted all this evening. Don't ask me what it is.
Annie St John was a popular broadcaster and presenter on UK television throughout the 1980s. Getting her start as a host on the classic game show 321, Annie would find a mass audience from 1981, when she began reading the news and providing continuity announcements for HTV West. 2 years later, she left HTV to join Tyne Tees, prompting her loyal viewers in the West Country to launch a Save Our Annie campaign. In 1987, St John would return to HTV on a permanent basis and continue to prove popular amongst viewers. But even though Annie carried a bright and cheerful personality when reading the news or providing continuity, all was not well behind the scenes. On the 3rd of November 1990, at her flat in Bristol, Annie would take a lethal overdose of drugs, mixed with champagne. When her colleagues at HTV were surprised and concerned that Annie didn't show up for work, Director of Programming, Derek Clark, would travel to St John's flat, finding her naked but semi-conscious on her bed. After being rushed to hospital and having weeks of treatment to better her condition, 38 days after the incident, Annie St John would pass away on the 10th of December 1990 at just 36 years old. It was a sad moment for her family and friends, as well as her HTV colleagues, many of whom had known and worked alongside her for years. The death was ruled as a suicide. The life and death of Annie St John tells us that even those with the brightest smile can harbour their own demons just like any of us, and how we owe it to them, and to ourselves, to check in, to offer our help, so that tragic events like the death of Annie St John don't happen again.
It was good to see so many of you at the church, and of course so many of you told us that you would like to have been there, but whether you were there or not, we all had one thing in common, and that was to say farewell to a very special friend.